Hello everybody. Today we are studying chapter 2. In chapter 2, the title is Process in Technical Communication. In chapter 1, we learned basically what is technical communication. And basically we learned that technical communication involves any type of communication in workplace. That can be verbal or that can be non-verbal, mostly written, such as memos, correspondence, proposals, even making a web page, making some type of report. So it involves actually various type of actually communication in the workplace. Now, before actually we begin today's lesson, actually I'd like to again show you one YouTube video which will basically review of our chapter 1. Then we will move on to chapter 2. So let me first go to the first video, this one, and hopefully I can have enough volume. Okay, there we go.
What is technical communication? Technical communication is the math of English. In a simple math problem, 1 plus 2 equals 3. Sentence structure is similar as the subject plus a verb equals a very simple sentence. But just like good math, good writing isn't always so simple. Most sentences have several components and can appear very complicated. A technical communicator's job is to keep language simple and understand the audience. But technical communication isn't just about forming clear sentences. It's editing, writing grants, designing documents, creating presentations, writing proposals, and designing and managing web content. And that's only a little of what technical communicators do. The technical in technical communication isn't restricted to engineering or other highly technical information. Technical communication is any type of communication that relays information and focuses on the audience's needs. When technical communicators create content, they focus on getting that information to the user in the best possible format. They consider what the user needs to know, how to get that information to the user in the clearest form, and why does the user need this information. So technical communicators are great at audience analysis, and they use their knowledge to create content that benefits the user. This is technical communication. And this, and even this. But just because a document communicates technical information, or any information at all, that doesn't mean it's done well or easy to understand. That's why not just anybody can do what a technical communicator does. Even a great writer may not communicate the information clearly. Technical communication is a different kind of writing. So it's not just the computer skills or even writing skills that make technical communicators stand out. Technical communicators are the audience's advocate. They make sure that the content meets the user's needs. Technical communicators reduce company costs by making content more user-friendly. So companies spend less on call centers or helplines, and customers spend more time enjoying their product. And that's why technical communicators have value in industry. You can find out more about technical communication by visiting www.ltc.unt.edu.
Okay, go back to our main course. Let me see if I can bring our PowerPoint back. Actually, I might have to go hard way. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we start the chapter 2, and I just briefly actually watched the video and reminding basically technical communication involve or variety of actually written communication, even verbal communication. So here, basically today, we will learn process in technical communication. And process are laid as, first, we determine the purpose of the writing, that what we want to write. Why do we want to write? Secondly, we like to analyze who are your reader, who are our reader. First, what am I trying to write? Second, who am I writing for? Thirdly, we're going to try to collect all the information we can. Fourthly, we're going to try to actually make an outline of all the information. We organize all the information we gather that we're going to try to organize and make an outline. Then once we make the outline, then we're going to write initial draft. Then after that, revising the draft. Now this diagram actually we reviewed in chapter 1, and basically the writing process is, first part will be planning, second part will be drafting, third part will be revising. Now when you are doing actually more essay or write a story, rather than planning, it will be more like brainstorming ideas. But in the technical writing, basically, we call this planning stage. And in the planning stage, we first need to determine the purpose of your writing. What are you trying to write? Second, we analyze our reader. Who are we writing for, and who are we trying to convey the information? Thirdly, we collect information and also completing an outline and planning, layout, add some graphics. Then after we are all done with those steps, then we move on to drafting stage, initial drafting. Then we go to revising stage. We can also call this stage as editing. And here we go through reviewing layout or the graphics. And we edit all the mechanics, edit the grammar, edit the style. Then lastly, we try to adjust some content that we might have to rewrite or re-explain. So let's move on to next slide. Okay, let's first talk about determining the purpose. The first question is, why am I writing this document? And most of the time, the user habit will be you want to ask the question yourself, then you try to answer the question yourself. So you can answer in 1 or 2 sentences. Then you can move to beginning of your outline. This why I am writing this document will be your kind of head outline in your paper. Secondly, you want to ask, what response do I want from my reader? So basically pinpoint what you want your audience to know, think, and feel. Are you trying to just share the ideas together? Or are you making a proposal? Or are we writing to get approved your some kind of budget or plan, business plan type? So basically, you want to know what response do I want from reader. If you are actually writing a proposal or some type of the projection plan for next few years, you want to get your manager or president to get, yes, I approve your plan, I agree with you. Or let's say, if you are not really expecting the yes answer, maybe you are kind of opposing somebody else's idea, you are trying to make a rational statement why you are opposing to somebody's idea. Okay, then we also like to consider who is my reader, who is your reader. Then we like to consider what is obstacle for that reader. Is he a sophisticated person? Or if you are writing some type of memo to your employee, maybe who only have high school graduate, probably you should write the memo more simple for him to understand. Also, you want to basically, regarding reader, you want to basically understand ways to understand reader. So basically, understand reader means what position is that person in the company, what education background does that person have, or does he have any physical obstacle? Is he handicapped in some way? Or anything which will interfere your communication. And again, type of reader can be from your employee to your manager, or the top CEO of the corporation. Okay. Analyzing your reader, we are continuously trying to find what would be an obstacle for readers. And we have to understand that readers are always interrupted in the company. Telephone calls, customer calls from the corporation, suppliers, or if this person is manager, some kind of memo from the other co-workers. So your reader does not have enough time. So you have to make it simple as possible, clear as possible, short as possible. And your readers are impatient because they are busy. They don't have enough time to only concentrate on your work. And readers lack your technical knowledge. You are writing a memo to other person because you know better than other person. You are trying to convey your knowledge to other person who has no idea. Either that person is your employee or your boss. You are trying to convey your knowledge or information to other person. And most documents have more than one reader. Now, if you're making a proposal, proposal will be shown to maybe the manager, CEO, board of directors, or sometimes greater than board of directors, maybe shareholders as well. So you have to concern, who is my reader? Am I writing my memo to only one person? Or am I making a business plan for whole company? All type of those things you have to concern. Define your readers. Okay, ways to understand reader. You want to write down what you know about your reader. Talk with colleagues who have written to the same readers. Find out who makes decision. Remember that our readers prefer simplicity. Okay, the type of reader that we've been talking about can be manager, some expert, or operator who operate the machine, or general readers, anybody. Let's talk about the managers first. Now, these readers normally expect background information, definition of technical terms, if they don't understand, list and format devices at high basically light point, and clear statement about what should happen next. So even though that person might be a manager, maybe that manager doesn't know he or she might not be technical as you are. So you have to sometimes explain what you mean, some technical terms. How about the expert? You are writing your opinion to some expert. Now these readers expect thorough explanation of technical detail, data placed in table and figures, and they want reference to outside sources using writing the report, and clearly labeled appendices for supporting information. So since these experts require more detailed information and where you got that information. Operator. These readers expect clear table of contents, easy to read listing for procedures or instruction, definition of technical term, and clear statement of how documents affect their job. Because these operators are machine operator, computer operator, or any type. Again, these operators, you're not talking to somebody who is a PhD. So you need to actually write easy as possible and make a simple table of contents so that person can spot out 1, 2, 3, 4 exact step what to do. How about the general readers? General reader, we call them lay people, anybody. Now these readers expect definition of technical terms, frequent use of graphics such as chart and photos, and clear distinction between facts and opinion. Okay. I'm trying to go to next video, but I don't know why this is. Okay. Now we are still talking about trying to understand our reader, and we are trying to understand decision-making level. Now, is that person decision maker, or maybe is he or she is only advisor, or whether he or she only is a receiver who has just reading it, just sharing the information together. So you have to define your reader. Is that person going to make the decision? Is he going to make advice? Or that person will just share the information together? In decision-making level, we have first level audience, second level audience, and third level audience. First level audience are somebody who actually make a decision makers. And basically, they basically translate information, translate what you wrote into the action, because they have power to make the decision. Second level advisors. They will give advice to decision maker. Third level will be receiver. These people just receive information contained in the documents. They will just share the information together. Now, in your textbook, actually, you will also find basically this planning form. If you cannot basically go through all the questions in your brain, sometimes this planning form will help you to define the purpose and readers. And basically here, you will say purpose. And you will say, answer basically all these questions. Why are you writing this basically in the documents? And basically, what important do you want? What response do you want from that person? First, you start with a purpose. Why are you writing? What are you trying to achieve in your writing? Secondly, it goes into audiences. Who's your audiences? And basically, you will go manager, whether that person is manager, expert, or just receiver. And basically, you are trying to define that person's, who are those audiences. Then you like to answer primary audiences. And basically, it will, once you actually define the primary audiences, then basically it will go down to documents like abstract, body, and conclusion. Excuse me. But today, our lecture will mostly more concentrate on top portion of the planning form. And in chapter 3 and later chapter, we're going to step by step how to write, basically from introduction to the body and conclusion. We cover abstract, body, and conclusion. We're going to cover that in later on chapter. Okay, then once you define your purpose, once you define your audience, next thing you want to do is collect all the information from any sources, any kind of sources you can find. So first you want to decide what kind of information you need. And after you decide what information you need, then you want to basically decide what devices am I going to use to research the information. Like, you can basically find information nowadays in the web page. You can go to the library, you can look up to the magazine, any kind of a professional magazine or newspaper. And there are so much actually resources out there. And basically nowadays we have this internet, which greatly help your researches. That's what Google is great about. They help you to research, search the data, basically within a second. And previously, when I was basically student, I had to go to the library, look into the index, and actually go into the bookshelf, look into each book, and read through each book to find a quotation. But nowadays, this internet age is, internet is so developed. Just with your finger, just with the keywords, you can find information much faster. And Google have a regular Google site, and they also have a scholarly Google research, which go into a little more in detail. I think you should also, if you'd like to do more extensive research, you should also use scholarly Google research as well. Then once you have actually find all the information, you have to record note carefully. You have to actually write next to it where you found that information. Because when you write a report, you like to convey that your information to your reader and tell them where you found the information. But if you don't write that information, make some type of memo, when you saw that article, 2 seconds later you try to locate that article again, I betcha you won't able to find that article. And probably you're going to have to spend another 3 hours to search for that article. So it is always good habit when you are doing the research. Always make a note of those articles where you found it. Then when we actually write the report, we have to acknowledge their sources. You cannot quote somebody else's quotation in your report as your idea. That's unethical, basically, in the business world. If you found some information, like some quotation by Sam Walton in Walmart, you have to write, it is from Sam Walton of Walmart, and you have to write from which newspaper, which magazine, which book. that quotation is from. Then also keep basically bibliography of the future use. So you can use those data anywhere in the future. So let's go through one more time. Decide what kind of information you need. Devise a research strategy. Record note carefully. Acknowledge your sources. And keep bibliography for future use. Okay. In the information, there are some primary information and there are secondary information. And what is primary information? Primary informations are the ones you actually found the information yourself. It includes interview, your client, customers, or some expert, surveys, laboratory work, field work, and personal observation. There are secondary information which will be basically bibliographies, basically from web pages, computer databases, periodical indexes such as magazines, articles, some type of journals, newspapers, books, journals, newspapers again, reference books, government report, and company report. We call that secondary information. Okay, now once you gather all your information and you made a note, so far we defined purpose, we defined the audience. Third, we collect all the information with all the note. Then we try to outline basically what you gather. So record your random ideas quickly. This is more like brainstorming in academic writing or writing some type of story. Then once you basically write all the brainstorm your ideas on the paper, then you try to make a relationship, try to link those ideas together. Then you want to write your first basically draft. Then you edit it, revise it. Then you want to add some type of graphics or data. We're going to actually go into a little more detail later on each step. Okay, so this is how it look like. On some type of white paper, you're just going to write down whatever comes up in your mind. That's the first process of writing. Hemingway said when he wrote Old Man and Sea, he revised that story more than 90 times. Even an expert writer like Hemingway had to revise his writing more than 90 times. So like amateur like us, first thing we do is on the white paper, as long as readable, you can just write anything come up in your mind. And after you write, you try to make some type of relationship, make a link the ideas together. Then the first draft, it will look like this is first draft. And this one said problem number 1, problem number 2, problem number 3. Then you show solution number 1, solution number 2, solution number 3. So it looks quite professional, basically. However, before this professional paper come out, it began from brainstorming scratch paper. And this, everybody has to go through. Either you are expert professional writer, either you're a professor, doesn't matter. Writing always starts from white paper, empty white paper. On the white paper, we just jot down anything come on our mind, which is brainstorming. What's the second stage? Make a relationship, make a link of different ideas. Then you make an order, 1, 2, 3, 4. then you try to organize it. So this will be your first draft. Then from here, we revise it, edit grammar, edit content, edit style, then final paper comes. We're going to go through each step more in detail as we go along. Okay, so then we go to initial draft. Initial draft basically schedule at least 1 hour block of drafting time, which means, again, don't try to be perfect from the first time. Just like your brainstorming stage, the initial draft is just for you. You haven't shared your paper with anybody yet. It is yours only. So you can make any kind of mess on your paper. And do not stop to edit. Begin with easy section, then write summaries last. Okay. Now in revising draft, we're going to have to revise the content, edit the style, edit the grammar, edit for mechanics, and we're going to review the layout and graphics. Now I cannot actually stress any harder than we continuously have to re-edit it, revise it until basically factory final draft comes out. So I'm going to actually share with you another YouTube video, 2 YouTube video, basically which will repeat what we just went over, but maybe in different terms. So at least we can get more clear understanding of this technical writing. So let's watch this second video together.
Online lesson for English 141. This first tutorial will cover the writing process. Many writers don't understand the fact that the writing process actually consists of separate smaller steps, not one gigantic one. However, the best writers understand that dividing the act of writing down into smaller parts actually takes less time for writing projects and results in better finished written products. The stages in the writing process are shown here: pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and publishing. The first step in the writing process is pre-writing, and it consists of all of those tasks that writers do before they put pen to paper, including brainstorming and making lists. In the pre-writing stage, consider setting a timer for 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the length of your paper. It's key to keep your pencil moving or keep your fingers typing on the keyboard. Don't edit or censor your ideas. Write everything down that comes to mind. There will be time later on to keep or discard your ideas. Just let your mind go and try to get as many ideas down on paper as you can in the time allotted. After you have made your brainstorm list, you can separate ideas into categories or outline them to be developed into paragraphs later. You might also consider using one of the many graphic organizers available for recording pre-writing ideas. Get these preliminary ideas on paper, and this will help you to have a specific direction for your research. Drafting is the part where you put the words on the paper. Drafts should be written quickly, without editing or revising, and they should be based on the elements and topics that you've collected during your planning and pre-writing stage. Professional writers understand that first drafts usually are not very good. Many writers are tempted to revise and edit as they write. Strive to fight against this impulse. You may think that you are saving time, but in reality, you run the risk of losing your train of thought when you go back and forth. Don't stop the flow of ideas when you draft. Write down your ideas as though you were talking to someone about your topic. You will have plenty of time later on to go back for revising and editing. These separate stages come later in the process, and they're the place where you can polish your work. It has been said that the revision and editing stages are where your paper earns its value. Once you have a rough draft, you can review your paper from the perspective of the reader instead of the writer. This is also the place where you can code switch your language from a conversational voice to an academic one. When you look at issues that affect the whole paper, you are revising. When you make corrections at the sentence level, you are editing. As you read through this revision checklist, you will notice that the topics relate to your paper as a whole. These kinds of changes to your writing are the most difficult and will require a degree of effort and time. Make these changes first before making grammar corrections. Grammar corrections should be done last. They are easiest and can usually be done quickly. Although it is tempting to make quick corrections, wait until you have made all your revisions first, because you might end up actually deleting grammar errors during your revision process. If you have questions about these kinds of correction issues, refer to the Symbaloo Webliography on grammar for help. Publishing sounds like something formal, but it really just means giving your finished paper to someone else to read. While it's true that publishing can mean seeing your words in print, such as a newspaper or web page, publishing also can be as simple as submitting your paper to your instructor. Here's some final thoughts on the paper process. Procrastination is probably your greatest enemy, so make sure to start early. Don't try to write your paper all at once. Rather, break it down into smaller segments. And always proofread your paper. Don't depend on spell check. It's best to proofread from a hard copy. Use triple space so that you have some room to make comments. Take breaks, and if you start early enough, you can have a day or two between writing stages. Most importantly, never be afraid to ask for help. I am always eager to help you, and there are lots of resources on campus.
Created using Powtoon.
Okay, I'm gonna actually go through one more video because I cannot stress, like